want to talk with you about batching content. So if you are an online business owner and have learned about content, like you're creating information or teaching or creating value to give to your audience, to the people who listen and follow you, then you've probably heard about batching content. And today I want to talk about this concept, but with a little different spin than how most online business owners or business entrepreneurs talk about and encourage batching. So we'll get to that in just a minute. If you're new here or watching the replay, which I know Facebook you are because Facebook was being finicky, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. You can let me know you're watching the replay. Just say replay. And then you can leave me comments throughout the video, and I look forward to hearing from you. For anyone joining a little bit late, my name is Tracy. I don't think I even said that before, but my name is Tracy, and I'm the founder of Limitless Business Online. I help people who want to live life on purpose by working in a flexible and unique way, which to me, online is the best way to be flexible and unique in their work. My clients are online business owners and entrepreneurs who I help with business strategies and coaching, systems, project management, and operations. I also help people who want to work online as exceptional virtual assistants. And the people I work with online, I work with because they want to pursue their life's current passions and live their life around work instead of their work running their life. I want to help people have time and location freedom and financial independence. I've been in the online business space since about 2012, and I absolutely love that online business. When you work online, your business and work are truly limitless. So it's your turn. I would love to hear from you in the chat if you're joining me live on YouTube or LinkedIn or on Instagram, or leave in the comments below if you're watching the replay. Where are you joining from? It's my most favorite thing about online business is to hear where everyone is joining from. And if you're watching the replay, let me know where you're joining from. And what do you do in the online business space? Do you work online already, or you are curious about online work, or becoming a virtual assistant? I'd love to hear what you do online or hope to do online. So you can leave that in the chat. I just realized my microphone is over here, so it's probably not doing a great job. Hold on, please. There we go. I knew it was going to make a little creaking sound, so I wanted to be sure and get that. Just pause while I knew it was going to make that creaking sound. Okay. As I said earlier, as a solopreneur, batching, well, I was talking about batching a minute ago, and I'm not sure if I said this, but as a solopreneur, batching content in the way it's described by most online entrepreneurs who have teams, typically, the people who are talking about batching content typically have teams of 2 to 5 to 10, 20 people. And in my opinion, it's not the most effective or stress-free way to produce the content for your audience, in my opinion, and from my experiences. I'm willing to be challenged on this for sure, but I'm sharing with you from my personal experience over the years, which I'll share with you more in just a few minutes. I want to challenge the batching content concept because many of my listeners have a very small team, like 1 or 2 people, or they are solopreneurs like me. I want to make sure you're able to use your most valuable resource, your time, in the most effective way possible. I don't want you to waste time. I don't want you to lose time with brain fatigue or mental exhaustion. So I want to challenge this concept of batching content and offer a new way to produce your content. The reason batching, the way most online business entrepreneurs describe it, doesn't really work for solo entrepreneurs is because many online businesses are run by very small teams or entrepreneurs, and that's why it doesn't really work. You might be a solopreneur for a while, and if you try to batch produce content in the way it's presented by most online business owners, you might easily get burned out. Your audience would miss out on the great information, teaching, the value that you provide to your audience. And I don't want that. So I want to offer a new, what I think is a better suggestion on how to produce your content, so that you never, lose steam. You never get super fatigued in creating your content, which is what I've experienced. So first of all, to make sure we're all on the same page, I want to make sure you know how I'm thinking about batching content, what I've heard online entrepreneurs, online business owners say about batching content, how they have described it. Okay, so the way that many successful online business owners and entrepreneurs define and encourage pretty much everyone to batch content creation is that you do all the parts of producing content at once for a set amount of time. So, for example, if you have a podcast, you record 4, 5, maybe 6 episodes in like a 2-day period, a 2 or 3 day period. And that batch is done for the content creator, like they're done with their part of the production process. Then if you're a solopreneur, you go through the production process that you've created for yourself with each piece of content until it's delivered to the audience. So, for example, if you created 4 podcasts in a day or 2, you have those 4 podcasts, then you would transcribe all 4 of those podcasts at once. So you might upload them all to a service and have them all transcribed at one time. Then all 4 podcasts are uploaded and put on your website. You're the solopreneur, you're doing all of this. And then 4 emails are written for each podcast, and then 4 social posts are created with the content elements for each podcast. Each stage of the production cycle is a batch. So it's putting all of those pieces of content into that one stage for you or someone on the small team. So it might be a virtual assistant, but the idea, this is how it's explained by most online business entrepreneurs, is that you would write all the emails for all 4 pieces all at one time. And that sounds like that would work, but my experience is that you have to kind of adjust this concept a little bit if you're a solopreneur or a online business owner with just like 1 or 2 team members. So it does work great if you have a particular team member for each stage. So those bigger online business entrepreneurs that are talking about batching content, typically they have a person who is responsible for social media content. Like they have a social media content manager. They have an email copywriter. They have a podcast editor. So yes, they can record 4 to 6 pieces of content over a couple of days, and then they can deliver all of that to their team members, those 3 to 5 team members who each have one stage of the whole production process. But if you are a solopreneur and you as the solopreneur, me as the solopreneur, are responsible for all of those tasks or all of those roles, then I don't think the traditional concept of batching content really works. So here's why batching in this way doesn't work. For some people, like me, for some people it might work great, but this is why it doesn't work for me, and I believe for a good many people. And remember, my purpose in sharing this with you is to help you maximize your time. As a solopreneur, you may not have much time for your work. And so I want to make sure that I can help you maximize your time. So here's why it doesn't work for many people, including myself, batching in this way that I just described. It's context switching. Have you heard of context switching? Context switching refers to the process of shifting focus from one task to another, which often involves moving between different types of work or even different mental states. So when you're creating content for your audience and you try to batch create it as a solopreneur, you go through many context switches, which is like different types of work. So there's the recording, there's the writing, editing, there's lots of types of work you go through. And you go through content switches. So there's context switches and content switches, which is like different. This is where I would describe different mental states within the content. So writing an email to describe and deliver the content is very different from editing, for example, video or podcast editing. So it's a different mental state within the content itself. For humans, this is from ChatGPT. For humans, context switching can lead to a loss of productivity. I don't want you to lose productivity, as the brain takes time to adjust to the new task. So when you switch from recording the podcast to writing the email, well, let's say recording the podcast to editing and then to writing the email, the brain takes time to adjust to the new task, which can result in decreased efficiency and increased cognitive load. So it's like your brain is overloaded. Just to share a couple of examples, I wanted to share with you how I discovered this, I guess I'll say. So my experience with context switching started as a virtual assistant back in 2012 or so. And I started as a virtual assistant working online. And at one point I had as many as 4 clients at a time, plus managing my family and our home and our life. And I found it very difficult. First of all, I tried working in short pockets of time. So maybe it was an hour here, an hour there, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. And it was very difficult to work in these fragmented chunks of time. I found it very difficult to get refocused on the work and remember, where was I? What was I doing? And what needs to be done? There was no task batching, so to speak. I also found it very difficult to be available to multiple clients at the same time because of that context switching. If I helped client A with something, in the next hour or two needed to help client B with something, there was this context switching about their businesses. And it would be really hard to refocus on a project or task that I was trying to complete if I had to switch to something else in the middle. It was a mental strain. So I found that putting boundaries or like time blocks around each client worked a lot better. I could work for 2 hours for this client and then 2 hours for that client, maybe check in with the others, check in with those two later in the day just for like a brief check-in, but they knew what their time slot was where I was definitely available. So that made it easier to kind of have the boundaries that I needed, so I didn't have to switch context quite so often. Then I wanted to share with you about when I was a yoga teacher. I was a yoga teacher for about 5 years, from 2017 until about 2022. Yeah, that's right. And during that time, I was teaching online yoga and I was also teaching locally. But when I was teaching online yoga, this is when I really tried to batch create content the way that the bigger online business owners were explaining. And I tried probably about 4 times. I tried this batching idea. I would record 3 to 4. I never really got past 4 videos at one time. There was one yoga teacher I heard of, and she would record like 8 at a time. And her videos were very short, like 10, 15 minutes. And mine were usually 20 to 30 minutes. So the most I could get in one batch was like 4. I would record them all at one time, all in one day is what I mean. I would record them all in one day, and it was exhausting. Not only thinking ahead and preparing for classes at one time, because I taught with a theme and I had music, and it was really a whole, intentional class that I would create. And so creating all 4 of those ahead of time was exhausting. Recording all 4 of those at one time in one day was exhausting. And I found it really hard to focus on what I was teaching in each of the 4 classes. So, I would record one, and then when it was time to switch to the next class that I was going to record, I would have to take a good bit of time to remember what am I teaching? Why am I teaching it? What's the music? Where I think if I had just recorded right after creating the class, there wouldn't be quite the mental load or the mental strain. So it was really hard to focus on what I was teaching according to the theme when I was recording 4 in a day. Then when it came time to move each piece of content, each class, through the production process to edit the video and upload it. When I would upload it to YouTube and upload it to my website, move it on to an email so that I could deliver it, and so on, I would have to take more time to review the content and remember what I recorded. Because when you do 4 in a day, by the end of the day, you're just like mental overload. You don't even know what you said. You're just exhausted. And so I would have to take a good bit of time just to remember, what did I say? Why was I teaching that? What do I need to say in the email? So it really just seemed like I would take this one piece of content and I would have to like revisit it. And that just didn't make a good bit of sense to me. So I wanted to figure out a better way. I remember years and years and years ago, this was probably 20 years ago. I think I actually heard this idea back when my children were in elementary school, which my oldest now is 22. So that was, 18 years ago or so when she was in elementary school. Now, this makes me sound really old, but now email and websites for teachers and email from teachers is much more common. Back when my kids were in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, email wasn't as common, and there were lots and lots of papers that would come home. So we would have newsletter papers and PTA announcement papers and worksheets that they needed to do and projects that were coming up. Everything was on a piece of paper back then. And there was just so much paper everywhere. And I remember hearing this idea when I was trying to figure out how to organize or how to like manage all this paper and keep it under control. The idea was, when you get your mail, so you go to your mailbox, you get your mail. When you go to your mailbox and get your mail, you handle each piece of mail one time. So you get your stack of mail and you look at it and you're like, okay, bill, like I'm putting them in the bill bin or the bill box or however you manage your bills. Then you have like just other pieces of mail that are advertisements, and they just right away go into the trash. And then maybe there's a piece of mail that's a letter. And so you set it on the table because you're going to open it right away after you're done sorting. So basically, you take each piece of mail, you sort it to where it needs to go, and you handle each piece only one time, except for maybe the bills. You put them in a stack until it's bill paying time. Anyway, so you take that one piece of content and you sort it and decide what you're going to do with it. And that's what I learned to do with all of that paper from elementary school with my children is, take each piece of paper, decide what I need to do with it, sort it, and be done with it. Each piece of paper, you're done with it like right away. So this led me to think about a better way to batch produce content as a solopreneur or a online business owner of a very small team. So I think you basically have two options. Option one option, let's see, I was trying to see my time somewhere. I thought oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, so you basically have two options. One, if you're a solopreneur, I think the fastest option is to, just like with your mail from your mailbox, is to manage one piece of content all the way through the production cycle. If you're a solopreneur, the fastest way to get your content created, your value pieces for your audience out to them, the fastest way to do that is to manage one piece of content all the way through the production cycle. That way you have less context or content switching, which means that you can be a faster copywriter. It's easier on your brain. There's no mental overload from context or content switching. And you can produce one whole piece of content at a time and be done with it. So you get this great sense of satisfaction as well. And you still could work this process into a batching cycle where you do something like 3 to 5 pieces of content over the course of a week. That might look like each day. Well, so one day you record something or you write something, like you write a blog or you record a video or you record a podcast, or all three, like I like to do, a blog, vlog, pod. But each day you take a piece of content all the way through the production cycle and you could be done for the month. So it might take you 4 days, maybe 3 hours each day to take one piece of content all the way through. And that's what I prefer to do right now, for me right now, because I'm still doing client work alongside my business. So I like the method of one piece of content each week, and I take it all the way through the production cycle to get it delivered out to my audience, my email list and social posts and all of that. So I like weekly. Ideally, weekly, one piece of content all the way through the production process. Or you could do one piece of content each day for 3 or 4 days and be done for the month. Move it all the way through the production cycle and you're done. So like I said, doing it this way makes it faster overall to write the copy for the emails, to edit the piece, to write the social post and create whatever content needs to go along with the social post, like a image or something. This is easier on your brain. There's no mental overload from switching between pieces of content. And you can produce one whole piece at a time and have that sense of satisfaction versus coming back to it over and over. Like, what was I talking about there? And now I have to write the email. If you have your second option as a solopreneur or a small team online business owner, if you have, maybe you have one VA, I think a second way that you could do this alternate content batching process, maybe you record or write several pieces of content at a time, like over 1 to 3 days or something. And then your team member, maybe it's your VA, they take that one piece and they move it through the whole production cycle at one time. So they are also not switching. Like I said, I think the content batching method where you batch and you write all the emails, or you batch and you edit all the videos. I think that works if that's your only role, if that's your only job. I think it doesn't work when you have to switch. So these are my thoughts on batching content for solopreneurs or an online business owner with a very small team, like 1 or 2 VAs. These are my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for joining me, by the way. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful if you're watching this replay, if you're here live. I see a few people here live, and I'm grateful that you're listening to my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts. So I'm going to plop here, if you're watching the replay, question number 1. I know you can't see this on Instagram, but 2 ways that you could respond to this episode. Number 1, share your thoughts on batching content. Are you a batcher, or are you a single content piece producer? Tongue twister there. Are you a batcher or a single piece of content creator? I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you batch content creation? Why or why not? So if you're watching the replay or in the chat now, you can let me know. Tell me. I'm very curious. I would love to know what your choice is and why. And I think hearing your thoughts is great for other entrepreneurs. It will help them to determine what works best for them for now. Once I have a huge team, I'll probably change and do it the way other online business owners, business entrepreneurs teach, with batching content. But for now, this is what works for me, and I would love to know what works for you, so other entrepreneurs can make the best decision for themselves. So that's question number 1. Question number 2 that you could respond to in this from this episode is, would a ClickUp content production template be helpful for you? I was thinking about putting together a free ClickUp project plan that would help you through a production process. It would help you create your content and move it all the way through the production cycle as a solopreneur or single team member online business owner. I would love to create that. If it's something that you think would be helpful and save you time, you could save it and then modify it to fit your own needs. So let me know in the comments, is this something that would interest you? I would love to hear, even if you just wanted to get it to see my suggestions for a project plan and then compare it to what you're doing already and see, if there are pieces you want to implement to make your process better, or to confirm, no, my process is pretty good the way it is. I like to do that to see what other people are doing and either adjust my process or implement something new. So I would love to create that. If you're interested, please let me know. Would you be interested in a free ClickUp project plan template for creating content? Okay, I hope this very tactical episode is helpful for you as an online business owner or entrepreneur. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you or talk with you soon so we can continue talking about all things online business. I hope you have a great day. Bye.